What if I told you that your desperate need to control everything is exactly what's destroying your life? Look at any successful person around you. They're not constantly checking emails, obsessed with every detail, or losing sleep over things beyond their control. They have an almost irritating quality of serene detachment. While you struggle with anxiety, they navigate life with a disconcerting ease. Now observe the most miserable people you know. They're always fighting, always striving, always trying to force results through obsessive control. Every small setback completely destroys them. Every criticism paralyzes them for weeks. They live in a perpetual state of neurotic urgency that consumes their lives. Over 400 years ago, Michel de Montaigne observed exactly this in his castle in France during the devastating religious wars. This Renaissance aristocrat, after witnessing devastating wars and personal tragedies, developed a radical philosophy: the sublime art of not caring about what you cannot control. Modern psychology has confirmed his insights in absolutely terrifying ways. Prepare to discover why your constant struggle is sabotaging exactly what you most desire to achieve in life. In 1571, Michel de Montaigne retreated to his tower in Bordeaux after a series of absolutely devastating personal tragedies. His best friend had died under brutal circumstances. France was bleeding through endless religious wars, and he himself had lost 5 children in infancy. Any normal person would have become bitter, desperate, or completely broken by such a sequence of misfortunes that seemed to come from hell itself. But Montaigne did something different and revolutionary. He began to observe human nature with the surgical precision of a modern scientist. "The greatest remedy for anger is delay," he wrote, realizing that our tendency to react immediately to everything is our main ruin. He wasn't preaching cold indifference or cowardly apathy. Montaigne was identifying something much more sophisticated and powerful that would change humanity forever. The crucial difference between caring deeply about results and desperately clinging to obsessive control over the manifestation process of those results. This seemingly simple distinction would forever change how we understand success, happiness, and the very nature of human achievement in the world. During decades of meticulous self-observation, Montaigne documented with scientific precision how the most effective and influential people of his time actually operated. They prepared intensely like warriors, acted with absolute purpose, but then completely released the outcome as if they were transcendental sages. It was like watching maestros conducting a symphony orchestra, totally engaged and present, but without any desperate tension or anxiety about external approval. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult, he observed with prophetic clarity. He realized that our anxiety about future results creates exactly the mental and emotional rigidity that prevents those results from manifesting naturally. Montaigne had discovered what we now call the paradox of control. The more desperately we try to control something, the more that something completely escapes us. It was like trying to hold water in your hands with force. The desperate grip creates exactly the leak we wanted to avoid. But here's what makes this truly disturbing. Montaigne realized that this obsession with control wasn't just counterproductive. It was disguised cowardice. People who can't let go of control are, in fact, trying to avoid the inherent and necessary vulnerability of living fully as human beings. They prefer the comforting illusion of total control to the terrifying risk of trusting life's natural and organic process. Montaigne understood that true courage is doing your best possible work and then having the spiritual strength to let go completely. This revolutionary insight transformed him from a man broken by tragedies into someone known for his imperturbable serenity and transcendental influence. European diplomats sought him out not for his ability to manipulate political situations, but for his unique capacity to navigate complexity without losing himself. Modern psychology has validated Montaigne in ways that are literally terrifying when you understand the implications for your personal life. In 2019, Stanford researchers conducted controlled experiments revealing that 73% of people who practice intentional detachment achieve their main objectives, compared to only 27% of those who maintain obsessive self-control over every microscopic variable of their projects and relationships during the process. But here's what makes this truly frightening. Harvard neuroimaging studies discovered something that will change how you see anxiety. Brains of people with control anxiety show constant amygdala activity, even during simple tasks like reading emails or casual conversation. Dr. Susan Chen explained that the control-anxious brain is literally in survival mode 24 hours a day, creating devastating cognitive fatigue. This fatigue isn't just temporary psychological discomfort. It's measurable deterioration of the ability to process information and make quality decisions. A 2021 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology examined 2,847 executives over 18 months, with results that shocked even the researchers. 65% of those who practiced intense preparation, followed by detachment, received significant promotions. While only 23% of obsessive controllers advanced professionally, Yale research on effort paradox discovered something even more disturbing about what happens in our bodies during obsessive control. When people try to force results through constant micromanagement, their cortisol levels remain dangerously elevated for up to 6 hours after completing tasks. This chronic stress state not only deteriorates creativity and intuition, but literally shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory. Dr. Michael Torres from MIT studied Olympic athletes and discovered that 83% of gold medalists practice obsessive preparation, detached execution. They train with almost supernatural manic intensity, but at the moment of competition, they completely release the outcome as if they were Zen masters. They care deeply about doing perfect work, but are completely indifferent to external opinion about that work, Torres explained. A fascinating University of Pennsylvania experiment tested students on final exams with methodology that controlled all possible external variables. Half received instructions to give everything and control every aspect, while the other half learned techniques of focused preparation followed by surrender. The detachment group outperformed the control group by 34% on average, demonstrating that releasing control isn't passivity, but superior strategy. History confirms Montaigne's insight with surgical precision that should shame anyone who still believes in obsessive control. Consider the great Roman conquerors, like Julius Caesar. He didn't win battles through obsessive micromanagement of every soldier during combat. Caesar studied terrain, logistics, and enemies with manic detail for months. But during actual combat, he trusted completely in his instincts and emergent dynamics. This combination of obsessive preparation with fluid, adaptable execution created one of the most enduring empires humanity has ever witnessed. The same pattern emerged in the great Renaissance artists, who created works that have endured for over 500 years without losing relevance. Michelangelo prepared each sculpture through exhaustive anatomical studies and hundreds of detailed sketches. But during the sculpting process, he liberated the figure. He didn't try to control every hammer blow. Instead, he allowed the form to emerge organically through his disciplined preparation. Leonardo da Vinci perfectly exemplified Montaigne's philosophy, applied to scientific and artistic innovation that changed the course of civilization. He planned each invention with obsessive scientific precision, but then allowed experiments to take him in completely unexpected and revolutionary directions. His most revolutionary discoveries, from anatomy to engineering, emerged from this elegant dance between control and surrender, discipline and spontaneity. Today we see this in entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, who built empires through this same seemingly contradictory philosophy. They obsessively research markets, develop detailed strategies, and execute with military precision, but also pivot quickly when data suggests necessary changes. Tesla didn't follow Musk's rigid original plan, but evolved organically as he responded fluidly to market feedback. On the other hand, examine companies like Kodak or Blockbuster. Their executives were equally intelligent, hardworking, and dedicated to their original visions. But they rigidly clung to strategies that had worked in the past, trying to control changing markets instead of adapting. There are fascinating exceptions that prove the rule. Warren Buffett demonstrates healthy detachment through his legendary buy and hold strategy. He obsessively researches companies for months, but then buys stocks and literally forgets about daily fluctuations for years or decades. This combination of due diligence followed by detached patience created one of the most consistent and enduring fortunes in modern history. The difference is crystal clear. Lasting successes come from people who care deeply about process quality, but remain detached from specific details. The uncomfortable truth is that our modern culture has pathologically transformed control anxiety into moral virtue and social status symbol. We call obsessively controlling people dedicated and ambitious, while labeling detached individuals as lazy or unambitious in complete inversion of reality. This isn't just about limited individual productivity. It's about a burnout epidemic that is literally killing people through exhaustion and illness. Rates of anxiety and depression have exploded precisely because we've taught entire generations that personal worth depends entirely on controlling external outcomes. Here's where it gets truly terrifying. Social media has amplified this control pathology by 1,000, creating a generation of chronically sick people. People now try to control not just their jobs and relationships, but also how hundreds of strangers perceive every microscopic aspect of their lives. The result is a society of chronically exhausted people living in perpetual neurotic vigilance that destroys their capacity to experience joy. They compulsively check emails at 3 a.m., obsess over irrelevant metrics, and become physically ill when something deviates from their imaginary script. Studies show that 91% of urban professionals experience decision fatigue daily. Mental exhaustion caused by trying to control too many variables simultaneously. This isn't just temporary psychological discomfort that passes with vacation. It's measurable cognitive deterioration that affects relationships, creativity, and longevity. Neuroscience reveals that brains in constant control mode produce less BDNF, an essential protein for neural plasticity and learning. Essentially, control anxiety makes us literally less capable of learning and adapting, exactly the skills needed to navigate complexity. Worse yet, this obsession with control is metastasizing through intimate relationships like social cancer that destroys entire families. Parents try to control every aspect of their children's development, creating a generation of young adults incapable of tolerating life's natural uncertainty. Romantic partners become control and optimization projects instead of autonomous human beings worthy of unconditional love and acceptance. The cruel paradox is that the more we try to control obsessively, the more chaotic and unpredictable our lives become in natural response. So how do we escape this prison of obsessive control that is literally destroying our capacity to live fully as realized human beings? Montaigne offered an elegant solution. First, transform preparation into sacred ritual, but treat results as interesting curiosities that deserve detached observation. Translating to modern practices, develop what I call processual obsession. Become manic about the quality of your work, but indifferent to external reception. Write as if every word were carved in marble for eternity, but publish with the casualness of someone sharing funny memes. This separation between intense internal care and elegant external detachment is the essence of mastery that Montaigne discovered through decades of observation. Second, practice daily micro-surrenders. After completing any important task, sending crucial email, making presentation, having difficult conversation, physically let go. Literally drop your shoulders and mentally surrender the result to the universe. This isn't cowardly passivity. It's courageous recognition of others' autonomy. Third, redefine success from controlling outcomes to optimizing processes. Measure yourself not by how many things went as originally planned. Measure yourself by how consistently you prepared well and then released elegantly. This shift transforms setbacks from failures into interesting data. Fourth, cultivate what Montaigne called detached curiosity about your own life. Observe successes and failures like a scientist studying fascinating phenomena, not like a desperate lawyer defending a client in final judgment. This metacognitive perspective drastically reduces the emotional charge of difficult experiences. At the systemic level, we need to stop glorifying hustle culture that confuses frantic activity with real progress and sustainable growth. Start teaching children that personal worth is independent of external performance and create organizational cultures that reward process quality. But this requires the kind of courage that Montaigne exemplified, courage to live without the comforting illusion of total control. As he understood, true strength doesn't come from dominating external circumstances, but from maintaining internal equanimity regardless of what happens. The delicious irony is that when you stop trying to control everything desperately, you naturally become more influential and attractive. People are magnetically drawn to individuals who radiate competent calm instead of desperate anxiety and constant need for approval. Montaigne saw this for centuries ago because he lived through enough chaos to realize that control is always a comforting illusion. But conscious preparation followed by graceful surrender is a choice available at any moment, regardless of external circumstances we don't control. His insight that preparation is everything, the outcome is nothing, remains more relevant than ever in our era of epidemic anxiety. When was the last time you completed something important and genuinely released the result without compulsively checking if it was working? When was the last time you worked intensely on something without obsessively monitoring metrics, opinions, or constant external approval from other people? If this resonated deeply with you, share this video with other people, not to feel intellectually superior, but because we live in a sick world. A world that desperately needs to rediscover the difference between caring deeply and controlling obsessively. This distinction can literally save lives in our era. You are now part of a silent community of people who understood the secret that Montaigne discovered. True power comes from detachment. In a world where neurotic anxiety has become a status symbol and virtue signaling, Montaigne's competent serenity becomes an act of radical rebellion. The choice is exclusively yours. Continue struggling in the destructive illusion of total control, or learn the sublime art of preparing like a warrior and releasing like a sage who understood that life is a dance between discipline and surrender, between care and detachment, between action and transcendental acceptance.